one morning I got up in the morning and there was like a baseball cap on one of my coffee tables and a dirty sock. I mean, my husband's not a slob. He would have picked it up the next morning, but I was mildly irritated and I thought, I am just going to sarcastically publicly shame him. And I love home decor. I always have. So I kind of have the lingo. So I did a video about how, the sock really pulls, from the area rug and the hat grounds the space and how lucky am I? And really, I mean, I don't even think I was dressed because I thought nobody's going to see this. I looked terrible. And then I heard my phone ding, 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 ding. And I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't say it went viral, but it really was unusual for me. So I thought, oh, maybe I'm onto something. And then I just kept posting interior design things. And that's sort of where it took off.
Welcome to the TikTok influencers you really should know about, the podcast dedicated to showcasing the remarkable individuals on TikTok who are making a genuine impact beyond just their good looks and celebrity status. From advocates for social justice to comedians who brighten our days, this podcast celebrates the diverse talents that make TikTok a vibrant community. Tune in to discover the influencers you may not have heard of yet, but you definitely should know about. Welcome back to the TikTok influencers you really should know about. And I am very, very tickled today because this is a TikTok creator that I've been wanting to have on the show for quite some time. And I've been following her and she is funny. And, this show celebrates inspirational folks, motivational folks and funny folks. And this is one funny folk that I think you really should know about. My guest today is Colleen Landry, and you can easily find her on TikTok, Colleen Landry Comedy. But don't worry, I'll have a link in the show notes directly to her TikTok channel so you can check out all of her great videos. And we're going to just dive right in because you are a professional funny person, are you not, Colleen?
I am not, but thank you for
Oh,
saying that.
I thought you were. I thought you were like a comedian, like a stand-up comedian.
It is my dream. In my mind, I am. So do you want a little backstory as
I
to how
want
this
the
came to
backstory.
be?
Yes.
Here it is. So I am a retired teacher. I just retired in June of this past year. And last year I was sort of debating about whether to retire and how I would fill my days. I was looking for a little bit of purpose. And I've always been interested in comedy and really have had a dream of being a comedian, if I'm honest. A few years ago, I took a stand-up comedy course here in town. It's not a big city that I live in. And then after that, I did do some stand-up gigs to the tune of maybe 10 or 15, but it's pretty small crowds and nerve-wracking. And so I didn't close the door, but I was just looking for a bigger reach, I guess. And I thought, I wonder if there's something that could get me out there. It's the internet.
Yeah.
Imagine. So I was on and off Instagram and TikTok for a couple of years, just posting. Before that, during COVID, I started to upload funny videos about how to accessorize our pajamas because nobody was leaving home. And they did get pretty favorable response, but I was only doing that on Facebook, I believe. And then when the pandemic ended or the vaccines came and we were moving about, I sort of lost my, momentum. And then sometime after, I thought, well, why don't I just sort of post everyday things like midlife and parenting and little clips? And it was very slow going. It probably took about a year to get 1,000 followers. And I was about to give up. And then I thought, then I'd be off and on it. I'd be discouraged and then I'd let it go for a couple of months and back and forth. And then in the spring of last year, so I've really only been on social media full time with any amount of followers since April. So it's been about 6, 7 months. And I thought, I'm just going to post every day and see what happens. Because I wasn't consistent before, by the way. And again, I was about to give up after a few months. And one morning I got up in the morning and there was like a baseball cap on one of my coffee tables and a dirty sock. I mean, my husband's not a slob. He would have picked it up the next morning, but I was mildly irritated and I thought, I am just going to, sarcastically publicly shame him. And I love home decor. I always have. So I kind of have the lingo. So I did a video about how, the sock really pulls, from the area rug and the hat grounds the space and how lucky am I. And really, I mean, I don't even think I was dressed because I thought nobody's going to see this. I looked terrible. And then I heard my phone ding, 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 ding. And I couldn't believe it. I wouldn't say it went viral, but it really was unusual for me. So I thought, oh, maybe I'm onto something. And then I just kept posting interior design things. And that's sort of where it took off.
I love it because I think
Crazy.
we all can relate, and if it's not, the spouse, it's the kids. I myself have done just because it's fun. It's fun to create. I don't even
Yes.
know what the response was, but I've done it where, that thing where you go at the toilet and there's no toilet paper it's just the brown roll empty. And I've done a
Yep.
few of those because it's like it happens. It happens in households.
I
And you
know.
wonder, you're like, who does this?
Everybody apparently.
Well,
That's what surprised me so much about the response because it's really just little things. It's not like, he's a slob. It's just
no,
the leaving of things or the putting the dish close to the dishwasher. And so many people are saying, I can relate. So I really wasn't expecting that response.
I think it's the relatability. We've moved from the Kardashians' unattainable perfection and massive amounts of money to relatable. There's crumbs on the counter, and isn't it wonderful how it picks up the marble? Although
Yes.
because I watched that one just recently, I would have chosen more of a black crumb or a burnt toast crumb as opposed to,
Yes.
yeah,
It's
it's
too light. It got lost in the space.
yes.
The light crumb. If I had it my way, it would have been a dark crumb, but I
So
can't have it all.
so you started off, doing these videos, and you said something that was very important, and I think this is important for fellow creators, and this is across different platforms, not just TikTok, but you said something very important about being consistent. When you had that consistency is when you were also able to build. Now I'm one of those people that is I am so not consistent, right? I'll go through a streak and I'm like creating,
Yes.
and then posting, and then I'll be like, there'll be like a week where it's dead. I'm not doing anything. I am doing things in other life.
Just not posting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a media coach. I'm teaching people how to create videos
You're
and
busy.
content.
Right.
I'm busy, yeah. But talk about that consistency, the importance of that for creators.
Well, I think it seemed like the universe just lined up, and when it started happening, I was in awe and, of telling my friends, and they all said the same thing. You've really been at it for a while. Don't forget that. I guess in my mind, because I wasn't consistent and I'd be sporadic and then stop for a couple of months, I didn't think I was really giving it a good shot, but you're still building something. I was getting some good comments, just not that many. So it did give me confidence. And I thought, well, 60 people liked it. And I got some really funny comments. And I had a feeling deep, deep down that if I kept it up, something would happen. I didn't know what or to what degree. But once I made the decision, I thought, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? I mean, it's much easier than stand up. Stand up, you really have to commit. You have to write your material. You have to practice. You have to stand in front of people. It's much different. So I thought, you know what? I can sit here in my kitchen and do a silly video and put it out there and just see what happens. And they say that you really shouldn't be attached to the outcome. We all are. We all want, whatever to go viral or whatever it is we want. But when I really stepped back and said, it doesn't matter, it's not going to make or break me. I've had a full career. My kids are raised. This is just for fun. It's just gravy, if you will. So that's when I just said, that's it. And some days I wouldn't even look and see how many likes I had. I would just walk away and just say, that's it. I'm putting a little bit of funny out into the world. If 30 people like it, 50 people, hooray.
There's
So
no
I think
pressure on
being
that. Right. There's no pressure.
right, there's no pressure, and you can get kind of bummed when you're putting things up and nothing is happening. But if you just let go of that, put it out into the world as something good, and if it makes one person's day, that's great. I mean, it went above and beyond what I could have imagined, but the consistency and the letting go of the outcome really allowed me to just try it.
I love that. If you don't mind, is it all right to play one? Because I want to I want to give the
Sure.
listeners and the people that are watching on YouTube, of course, if you're listening to the podcast, it's either Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcast. That's great. You're listening to the podcast. But if you want to see my wonderful guest, Colleen, and also see this video, that's on YouTube. So we are on YouTube as well. But let's give our wonderful audience a snippet of I could so relate to this clip too. We're going to share that with our wonderful audience now.
Gotta love my inferior designer. He knows how busy things get around here in December, so it's all hands on deck. He has loaded the dishwasher for me, and I love what he's done inside the space. He's gone ahead and taken 2 plates of similar size but different style, and he has smushed them together so tightly that you can see no amount of water would ever get between those plates. Certainly he could have taken one of these plates and filled some of the empty racks here, but that would interfere with the negative space. And sometimes what isn't there speaks louder than what is there. And this is screaming at me. But you know, even though I may have to run this dishwasher a couple of times to get these plates clean, the main thing is he has lightened my load. God love him. God love my inferior design. That's what matters, right?
Because when you're looking at it, the bottom shelf of your dishwasher is completely empty except for those
wide open.
Except for those 2 dishes sandwiched together.
Yeah.
Another thing,
and he doesn't pre-rinse.
What about the utensil? What about the cutlery drawer? Do you have a basket or do you have a drawer?
I have both. I have sort of a pull-out on top.
Yeah, the pull-out.
And this is another sort of funny story. I have a pull-out and then on the side little baskets that they go in. And we bought the dishwasher when we have 2 boys. They're 27 and 29. And when my youngest was home from university, he would have been 20. 21, and I was unloading the dishwasher, and we had it for a couple of years. Okay. So as I'm chatting with him in the kitchen, I pull out the top utensil thing and he goes, whoa, I've never seen that. I'm like, seriously? So when I've asked you to unload the dishwasher, yeah, I didn't know that was even there. I thought it was just all in the cages. So you see.
Bless them. My favorite is when the spoons and everything, when they're all up, they're not on the side to get clean.
And the water collects in them?
Well, yeah, because only one side gets clean, right? Because the water is shooting up. It's not shooting all over the place. But yeah, no, okay, I digress.
No, but it's true. I think it's those little annoyances that we all have. It's not a big deal.
No, it's not a huge deal.
My
No.
inferior designer is not a slob, but it is the little things like, why can't you put the toilet paper on or just turn the spoon like that? So I think that's the part that resonates with most people, is that we wouldn't do it that way. We would turn the spoon over.
Well, and also if you're well, I am a bit linear, I guess you'd say. So I can if I walk in after our kids have been in the bathroom or in the kitchen, and I'll walk in and I'll go, why doesn't anybody else see this as an issue? Like all the cabinets open, all the doors open, all the door. It's like you walk, it's like a crime scene. And you're like, does anybody see this is wrong? Am I living? Who am I living with? Right.
I know. Well, we raised 2 boys. So yeah, it's certainly clutter-free now because they're on their own. So I would have had great material if I'd done this back in the day, but I totally get it.
Yeah. Well, so, we're talking now this is being recorded in December, and then the current status of TikTok itself, not all the other platforms, but TikTok itself, is that apparently January 19th, it's going to be banned in the US. Now, I've heard different things that you'll still be able to, for people who already have accounts on TikTok, you'll still be able to access TikTok and your account, but you people will not be able to sign up for a new account. Then I've heard other people say, no, you're not going to be able, because the things that are updated, you're not going to be able to see. So nobody really knows what's going to happen. Also, they're thinking that when Trump comes in, he's going to reverse it, but Trump doesn't come in until the day after the ban. And he's the one who originally voted to ban it in the first place. But he did really well in the election. So he's like, I love TikTok. So nobody knows what's going to happen. So what are you getting prepared for this? Going to other platforms, or what are you doing?
To be honest, I really, until this moment, didn't realize it was that soon. I mean, I guess we all heard the rumblings last year, and I guess its time is pretty well up, but I haven't been hearing a lot about it except very recently. So I am on Instagram and I have a good solid following there. I'll continue, and I'm slowly starting on YouTube. But I guess we were talking a little bit earlier about whether there will be other platforms that people can just move from TikTok over.
Yeah, I
Very
think
bizarre.
there's a lot of creative people like right now kind of shuffling, and
Yeah,
everybody's kind of, and what's interesting is that, you know, probably like one of the biggest news stories at the moment, current, ticker, these unidentified weird things flying over not just the United States. I've heard that it's also in other countries, but I mean, you know, whatever you want to call them, UFOs, drones, spaceships, I don't know. But this is pretty big news. And even the mainstream media is very reluctant. There hardly not a lot of coverage on it. I would think it would be front page every day, you know. But TikTok is where I've seen, because these are real people. And this is what's so beautiful about TikTok. Yes, there's a bunch of, you can always find teenagers dancing in their bedrooms and being silly and stuff like that. People
yeah,
eating weird stuff,
yeah,
all that. But it's the on the ground, real people presenting what's happening. So be it with the stuff that's going on in the sky, they're actually reporting on it. The things that are happening, in Diddyland,
right,
people are reporting on it. Things that are happening in the Middle East, people are
right.
reporting on it. And so it's such a valuable media source that
Yeah,
I don't want to see it go. I do not. I mean,
I
I'm in Australia, but we rely on American creators like
right.
yourself. Also,
Yeah,
it
and I
gives
mean,
us a
I'm
little bit of a
Canadian.
relief from this crazy shit going on.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm Canadian, and I the ban only the
It's only
United
in the
States. Is that
US.
what they're talking?
Yes,
But still, I mean,
that's
a
your
lot of my
audience.
followers are from the US. That's my whole audience. Yeah. So I really will hate to see it go. I guess I bury my head in the sand until I absolutely have to deal with it. But I mean, I have been posting consistently on Instagram and TikTok.
So that's good, because then that way and you might even make sure that your American followers know that you are on those other platforms, so that in case the ban does indeed go through and whatever happens, that they can
Exactly.
find you.
Oh,
Because Colleen, we need your humor. We need your inferior designer humor.
thank you so much. It's
We really
so
do.
much fun. It is so much fun. I'm thrilled with the response. And, you mentioned earlier that people are tired of the perfect Kardashian, and followers are looking for more authenticity and or just to laugh and be real. So I hope that's what I kind of figure if something is happening to me or is annoying to me that most people have thought it. So I try to put a comedic spin on it. So yeah, I'll keep doing it as long as people will laugh. And I must say, my followers are super funny and creative. You know what I mean? There's like a little community there. So someone will comment on my video, and then someone will comment on someone else's comment. And it's like people are just sort of gathered there every day to have coffee and chat.
It's great. It's a wonderful TikTok page, and
Thank you.
you're very, very funny. And I understand when you were
Thank
talking
you.
about, like, too, when you were talking about the whole stand-up thing, because I took an improv class, I think, once, and I did try and do a stand-up once. That was the most nerve wrack. I was a nervous wreck because you have to remember shit.
Yes.
You gotta you gotta remember. I can't remember. I'll go on stage and it'll be gone. It'll be just
Yeah.
gone. And
It's
so it was really hard for me. So I can understand that part.
Well, I applaud you for even having tried it. I mean, it's probably the biggest fear, public speaking, as they say. But yeah, I mean, I can't say I ever bombed at it, but I had better sets than others. But it's so jarring when you are practicing and you think, oh, this is just going to kill. And I'm going to have to pause for like 5 minutes for them to stop laughing. And they're just staring at you with their arms folded. And it's like, okay, I'll move right along. And this always happened to me. Because I'm a writer first. I had a humor column for about 5 years, and I've written a humor book, Miss Nakowick Meets Midlife, probably on Amazon.
Love
I
it.
wrote this, pardon me?
I love it. I love the
Oh,
title
thank you.
too.
I had a blog years ago, and a local publisher, published it into a book, and it's just about finding purpose after my kids graduated and how, they don't need me. And so I'm a writer first. So I found writing the sets for stand up easy.
Yes.
I never ever was stumped for ideas. And then I would practice it, and then I would crack myself up. But invariably, the day of, I would second guess every word I wrote. And on my way to the venue, I'd be just like, oh,
Why
what am
did
I
I do
doing?
this?
It gets into your head. It really does. I'm not saying I'd never do it again. I have followers who've reached out and said, are you ever going to go on tour? We'd come see you. This has certainly given me confidence, but it's still a different beast. So
It's a
I
different
wouldn't
energy.
pretend
Yeah.
totally.
Because you can hit record, you can edit, you can hit record, you can go, you can play it for people, and you go, no, no, yes, no, all of that. So yeah, I
Exactly. But
understand
you
that
can't do
completely.
that. So
Well,
I don't know what the future holds. I wouldn't say no, but this is quite comfortable and works well for me right now.
I'm feeling, talking about what the future holds, because I do work a little intuitively. I don't know. I don't market myself as an intuitive media coach at all, but I work intuitively because there's another book that you need to self-publish. Actually, you need to self-publish another book, and it might be Everything is Fine is the title, and then subtitle, Ramblings of blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Okay, that book with your photo, your image on the front is going to do really, really well. But
Thank
but
you.
you need to get that out. Yeah, you need to get
I've
that
been
out.
thinking about another book.
Yeah, and you're a
I don't
writer.
know.
I have 4 best-selling books, and I'm not even a writer. I'm a talker.
Wow, you're my hero.
Yeah, I take my videos, I take my webinars, my workshops, the things that I talk about. I take that and I turn it into a book.
That is so smart. That's actually on my list in the new year, and I don't know whether the book will be a compilation of my humor columns, of which I have 50 or 60. I used to write those monthly, but I have another idea that I could somehow integrate the inferior designer, like maybe a coffee table book
Yeah.
with
Yes.
pictures
Well,
of
that's another book. Yeah,
installments.
that's another book. You need to do the
Okay.
humor book. I mean, the humor paperback, right? Read.
Yeah,
Ha 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 ha. Which we can turn into, I'm already inserted myself, which we can turn
I'll
into an
take it.
audio book,
Ooh,
because there's nothing better than listening to a little funny ha ha audio book. Okay. So that's that. And then you do a fancy pants where you have a professional photographer to do the pictures, the table, coffee table book, with all the
you're
fun.
good.
Yeah. Well,
You're good.
that's
I'm
why
going to
I'm,
get on that.
that's why I'm a
Know any
coach.
publishers looking for humor?
We'll start.
Hit
We'll
me up.
get going. We'll get
Okay,
going.
we'll
All
be in
right.
touch.
All right, darling. Thank you so much again, Colleen, for being on the show. My guest today has been Colleen Landry. You can find her at Colleen Landry Comedy on TikTok, but I'll put a link in the show notes so you don't have to fret about that. There'll also be a link in the show notes to the official TikTok influencers, the podcast there, that TikTok channel page, and then also one just to my personal website as well, so that you can reach out to me through that. But thank you again so much.
You.
You're welcome back anytime. And we're going to make sure that we keep following you and laughing along with you. So thank you again, Colleen.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you, wonderful listeners and viewers who are watching on YouTube. Again, thanks so much for joining us. If you want more details about this particular show, you can go to the TikTokinfluencers.com. And as I always say at the end, make sure you keep scrolling. Keep scrolling because you might find that one creator who tickles your funny bone, who really is someone that you should know about, an influencer now. That's the influencer. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you real soon.